Hello and welcome to another episode of Friends of Mamdani, where we recognize the unsung heroes, the people who helped Mamdani achieve the fairy tale style victory in New York mayor's election. But now is the time to take actual action. Roll up your sleeves and get to work. And the work begins pretty soon. In fact, some of the work has already begun. And of course, the most monumental task would be the transition team. It's said that Mamdani has managed to form a team of over 400 people and gathered almost $1 million for the transition team. So, what lies ahead? Who better can explain than Mr. Ali Mirza, who's yet again with us? Mr. Mirza, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And we'd like to begin, as I mentioned at the top. Now is the time to roll up your sleeves and get to work. And of course, the first task would be to start with the transition team. How do you see things playing out here?
Well, again, he has hit out of the ballpark. He appointed 400 people. That includes people from all backgrounds, ethnicity, religious group, political groups. So he has pretty much covered almost everybody that was worth including. And 400 people transition team in different areas will help him put together his administration. And the time is only December. 31 days are left only, and then first of January is his oath taking ceremony, and we have to remember uh, to keep working our life depends on it, because remember, enemies are not sleeping, they are working 24/7, and we have to do that too.
So we've heard that he's willing to, or he's inclined to remove Eric Adams' town hall team. What do you think, city hall team? What do you think? How do you view this move? You think he should have retained some of them, or you think it's a good move?
No, I mean it's just normal standard practice, and I wrote about that also, and I reminded everybody that listen, whenever there is a change in administration and the new administration comes, they bring their own people, and they ask those who are politically appointed persons in the previous administration to please submit their resignations. And I gave the example that when Tom Suozzi was elected county executive of Nassau County in 2001, he got elected, and then 2002 his administration came in, and I was part of his administration. I was first appointed as director of women and minority business enterprises, and then he brought me closer to his inner circle by appointing me as a special assistant for communication and community affairs. And that went on till the last day of his administration. He lost the election to Republican Mangano in 2009, and we were asked by incoming administration, Republican administration, Mr. Mangano, to submit our resignations, and we did, and we submitted our resignations. So this is a normal standard practice from local government to all the way to the national government. The same rule applies.
And what do you think? What kind of qualities would you like to see in his transition team? Where would you like to see them? Of course, they have to agree with him on his policies. What else?
Well, they have to be supportive of his agenda. Number one. Number two, they should have his trust. He should be able to count on them, and of course, they have to be capable of doing their job. So those are the criteria that any political leader, when they come to power, especially, and we have to remember this: New York City is the capital of all the cities in the world. In America, after the presidency, to be mayor of New York City is the most important job and most difficult job. There are so many hundreds of agencies, there are thousands of employees. So, they have to be capable of doing their job, and they should have experience. And like I say, they should be supportive of his agenda and trustworthy.
And no, of course, he was greatly helped by his grassroots volunteers. Do you think they should have a place, or he should bring in people who are more sagacious, who have some kind of experience tucked under their belt, or you think he'll be better off working with the same kind of people who helped him accomplish this victory?
All of the above. All of the above. Because those who helped can help in a different way. They can be part of boards and commissions. They don't necessarily have to have a job if they are, if that is not their forte, if they do not have that kind of experience. So they can be in boards and commissions and make their voices heard, and make the voices of their respective communities heard in the incoming Mamdani administration. Those who are close allies of him in his inner circle, of course they have to be there, and they are there because trust and reliability is very important. And then the top thing is that they should be capable. So it doesn't matter whether you were part of his campaign or not, whether you donated money to him or not, whether you knocked doors for him or not. If you did all of those things, that's a cherry on the top. But the real thing is that they should be capable of executing their jobs and duties properly, and make sure that the whole world is watching. Mamdani's enemies are watching, Mamdani's friends are watching, and he has to be careful of the enemy within. And when I say that, I'm talking about the party that he is member of, the Democratic Party, because a lot of people who do not like this kind of progressive agenda are counting on his failure. And everybody who believes on this agenda, we have to make sure that he succeeds.
Who do you characterize as his enemies? I'm sure you're choosing your words rather carefully, rather than calling them his political opponents, his detractors. You're calling them his enemies. Do you really
Yes.
mean? Do you really mean it? And who do you think they are?
For some people, yes, the best description will be enemies. Most of them are political opponents. Yes, people who have different point of view in governing and how to deliver to the people and what is best for the New York City. Those are political opponents, and most of them are political opponents. But we should not forget how nasty this campaign was, and what kind of animosity was shown towards Mamdani and is still being shown. I will give you a couple of examples, starting with the current mayor, Eric Adams. He went to Israel, then he went to another country, then he came back, then he made sure that Elizabeth Park, where Mamdani was planning to build affordable housing and apartments, Eric Adams have started making moves that to make it impossible for Mamdani to deliver on that. Same thing Eric Adams is still doing. What he's doing is appointing people of his choice in the rent control boards, so that Mamdani cannot deliver on his promise of freezing the rent or controlling the rent, whatever way you want to describe it, but to keep them in a limit so that people can afford that. So those kind of elements are still working. Uh, Eric Adams hasn't met Mamdani yet, has he? No, right?
You're right. You're
So,
right. You're right.
so,
And
so I mean, if
oh,
so,
yeah, no, no, no.
not
That's why I
meeting with
said
the
you must
incoming.
be. Yeah,
Sorry, no,
you
no,
are an
let me
articulate
finish this
person.
sentence.
So no, no. Please go ahead. Go
Not
ahead.
meeting with the incoming mayor is not being politically opponent. It is being an enemy who is making sure that to create as many obstacles and hindrances in Mamdani's way as possible. And I'm sure he doesn't wish Mamdani a success. Then there are other kind of people also, like people like NASA County Executive Bruce Blakeman, and the former U.S. Congress member Peter King. They are opposing him so strongly. NASA County Executive Blake Man has just recently announced that he's putting cameras on the border of Nassau County and Queens, because he's fear mongering, and he's saying, oh, people are going to run away from New York City because there will be so many crimes, and those criminals may come into Nassau County and Long Island. So I'm going to put, he's trying to create a wall like and siege people, which is like, I mean, stuff that I never heard of. And you have not seen that kind of stuff from political opponents. You can only expect that these kind of things from political enemies. And Peter King is saying the same thing. He wants to do that. Political opponents are different, even in the immigrant communities and even in Muslim communities or Pakistani communities. There were people who were opposing Mamdani, and then now there is a big group who did not support Mamdani and supported Cuomo, Eric Adams first and then Cuomo. And till last minute, they did not support Mamdani. But now they are doing a fundraiser for Mamdani and have announced that they are going to raise $370,000 in the first week of December. So those are political opponents. They were political opponents. They saw the results, accepted it, and now supporting Mamdani. And then there are political enemies who are still trying to create obstacles.
Agreed, and that's why, because you're a very articulate person, and I did not expect that for you to use it for the lack of a better term. I'm sure you use it consciously, and that's why I thought it would be pertinent to give you an opportunity to characterize it, because enemy is somebody who's out there to harm you, whereas a political opponent is somebody who's opposing you. Of course, these are two different things, and
And
people who
Mamdani
are
has
so
both.
vociferously, yeah, and of course, we all knew that when Mamdani was presenting those radical ideas that had not been accomplished in the past, like rent freeze, we expected that there would be a pushback. Now, are you surprised that the pushback has come so soon and so vociferously? People who are so vociferously opposing his rent freeze, and of course, you mentioned some of it in your previous answer. So, would you like to elaborate a little bit more on how real estate, lobby, I would call it, and people of their ilk are so vociferously opposing, so vehemently trying to stop him from accomplishing his agenda so soon? I think the question is the timing.
Sure. We can divide these people into different groups. Real estate developers and business people, about whom everybody was saying, oh, they will move out of New York City and they will run away and they will stop investing in New York City. None of those things have happened. In fact, all the latest news that is coming out of New York City is that the business community is trying to work with Mamdani and want to see him successful, especially the real estate developers, because to make the apartments affordable, make living in the city affordable, you need to build a lot of apartments and a lot of housing. So now, who is going to build them? It's not Mamdani is not going to build them. He's not in construction business. So contractors and construction industry, and then the industry that sells the supplies, Home Depots, other institutions that and outlets who have the construction materials to provide to the market. So these people, they are willing to work with him. Number two is those who are political opponents and called him names like President Trump himself. But you see how President Trump's attitude in public at least in front of the cameras, was different than what has been. How he has been talking about Mamdani, calling him jihadist and calling him communist and all that. So that changes. So those are political oppositions that change, at least in front of camera, and we don't know exactly what transpired in their private meeting. But all the news that is coming on out is the same that we discussed in the last program, that there was not much agreement. There is not much commitment, but there is just broad understanding that, okay, these are my positions, Mr. President, and from Trump, these are my positions, Mamdani. And you saw what Trump is doing. I mean, yesterday there was a raid near Canal Street, again in Manhattan, by the ICE, and the New York Police Department provided security. But remember, Mamdani is not the mayor yet. So that will continue in December. What will happen, we don't know. And then there are people who are just who have made politics to hate other people, to hate their concept. To that is not they are not doing politics. They are doing politicking, and they are they are encouraging hate speech, and those kind of people, like I said, I mean, putting cameras uh, by the border of Nassau County and New York City, which current county executive of Nassau County is doing with this, and has full support from his right wing extremist base, and the and people like Peter King, saying yes, you are doing the right thing. So those kind of things, what else can you call them other than being enemy? Because you are not only being Mamdani's enemy, you're hurting New York City, you are hurting New York State. We all have to. I mean, I'm a Democrat. I'm totally against. I live in Nassau County. I'm totally against uh, Blakeman's policies. But would I like him to fail so that the Nassau County fails? No, I will never do that because I'm not his enemy. I'm his political opponent. But people are doing that to Mamdani, from Eric Adams to Blakeman to other people.
All right, Mr. Mirza is talking about the politics of coexistence, the politics of disagreeing but not trying to destroy each other. We'll continue this conversation on the other side of this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Friends of Mamdani, and we are in conversation with Mr. Ali Mirza. And before the break, we were talking about affordable housing and rent freeze. Now, from macro to micro, what do you think, Mr. Mirza, residents of Queens and Bronx are thinking about rent freeze and, of course, all the shenanigans you were discussing? The other people who are trying to halt Mamdani's agenda.
See, first of all, the supporters of Mamdani, I will allow me to talk to them directly. What I would say, most of them are young people and younger generation that were heavily involved in his campaign. I would ask them respectfully to remember what happened when Obama ran for president and became president. There was a lot of hope against George Bush that Obama and with Obama that Obama will come and all the wars will end and everything will be honky donkey, and there was a hope for change, and people put him on the pedestal, the left and the people who were supporting Obama, including myself. But I didn't put him on pedestal. But a lot of people like, oh, he's a messiah. He will solve all the problems. What happened? Disappointments, betrayal, no end to the wars. Uh, real problems were not solved. Universal health care disappeared, and instead we got Obamacare, which is not diluted. So remember that Mamdani is a politician. He's a human being. He's not a messiah. He's not a, for the lack of any better word, he's not uh, somebody that
A
we are
Superman.
expecting to come and solve all the problems. So he's a human being, and as a human being, he needs your support. The one support that you can give him is stop putting him on the pedestal and stop and start criticizing anybody who question any of his moves, or also getting so frustrated with his initial actions that they start calling him that oh he has sold himself, like some people are calling because he has kept an NYPD police commissioner Tish. Like people I have seen posts from the left and young people and from his supporters, and those who helped him get elected, and they are saying, look, the NYPD commissioner Tish is the same person who opened up skulls. Under her leadership, the NYPD cracked heads of the students in at NYU at Columbus. Yes, they are those things are right, but they are saying, okay, because you have kept her, you have sold yourself. So please don't go to extremes of putting him on the pedestal and treating him like he's the Messiah. Uh, and at the other hand, also do not start judging him right away and saying, oh, he has sold himself. Give him time. It will take a lot of time and lot of work for him to deliver with all the obstacles that he has in his way. I just described, he doesn't only have political opponents, he has enemies, really enemies. Take my words. Just like Obama had enemies, and there was a birtha right movement questioning his place of birth and his US citizenship, same kind of people are here against Mamdani, questioning every move that he will make. So the people of New York City and all his supporters from all the surrounding counties, my request, humble request, will be to give him time. Don't jump on quick, don't be quick on criticizing him, and don't put him on pedestal either. Watch every move that he's making rationally and with logic and political, from the perspective of political realities. But hold him responsible to stick on his agenda. Yes, he should not abandon his agenda, because if he abandons his agenda, he will lose his base and supporters, and enemies are all there. The sharks are out there. He's in a shark tank, so he has to be carefully swimming to survive.
Landlords have already started to raise their concerns about the rent freeze, and they're saying that'll make the maintenance cost prohibitive. So, would you rather live with rent not being frozen, or would you rather live with filthy hallways, garbage cans oozing with trash, cracked sewer lines, choked water lines? What would you pick if you had a choice?
Well, you see, there are laws against all such kind of things. If the landlord start to ignore maintenance of their buildings, there are laws against that, and they will be punished and they will be held accountable. So, if they do not like the rent stabilization, then they have two choices: uh, live with it or sell the buildings. But you cannot violate the laws, existing laws of the New York City, which require you to maintain the apartments in working conditions. Otherwise, they can get sued and arrested and fined and jailed.
All right, so you're saying that even if he chooses to continue with his agenda of rent freeze, people or the landlords are under the obligation of not
Not
making
rent
it
free, not
rent
rent free, stabilized rent.
stabilized. All right. So they don't, they cannot make it an issue of either or. They cannot make it maintenance versus increasing the rent. All right. So now that brings us to the legal part of it. What kind of opposition do you see that sometimes people can get away with a lot of bureaucratic hurdles, but then the laws are presented as obstacles? Do you see any legal obstacles halting Mamdani's agenda?
Well, legal hindrances will be that he will have to work within the existing laws that he cannot change or do not come into his jurisdiction, like state laws and the federal laws, and that will come into play with dealing with ICE, dealing with any possible visit by characters like Netanyahu. But the things that are taking place right now. I mean, a couple of days ago there was elections for the next speaker of the New York City Council, and the person who got elected is against Mamdani's agenda uh, to a certain extent, and she's against rent freeze. Uh, so politically, these kind of situations have to be dealt with in a political way and a smart way. There are elections coming, for city councils, for a state, and Mamdani has 4 years, and there will be a lot of local elections during that time, and people can be replaced if they are not cooperating with the agenda. But for that, Mamdani will have to, and his supporters have to help him in keeping his popularity and political base and support intact, so that he can use that political power uh, as a force that his opponents will have to reckon with in case they try to stop Mamdani's agenda. And for those Muslims, immigrant community members, progressives, and others who are planning to run, and a lot of people are running, and sometimes I'm seeing that from same district, three or four people are running in a primary, and all three or four happen to be Mamdani's supporters. So, I mean, we have to. I know there is a euphoria and there is excitement, and everybody wants to help and think the best way is to run for elections. But we have to also see who is the best candidate and what is the best strategy. I mean, is this a good strategy that the Mamdani supporters start fighting in primaries against each other? So and also, but don't also at the same time, I don't want them to get into uh, in the mode of inferiority complex, any kind of inferiority complex, because unfortunately in our community, uh, for some people, for some, not the majority, for some people, the same thing when it's said by a person who is from immigrant communities or
Mr.
Muslim or
Mirza,
Desi community. Yeah.
Mr. Mirza, I hate to interrupt, but we are literally within our last minutes, if not seconds. Let me
Okay.
assign you a role. You've played numerous roles in your life. Let me assign you a role you've not played yet. Mamdani is a speech writer. If you were to be given the responsibility, what would be a few sentences that you would give Mamdani on his day one? Because his speech will, of course, will not have reverberations only within New York or the country, around the world. What are a few talking points you would like him to mention? And we are literally in the last minute of our show. Please take it away.
I am not going to take that this enough piece of rope that you are giving me to hang myself. With all due respect, I think he has a very good speech writer who has done a and a spokesperson already that Mamdani has appointed. So those people, I'm sure, will carry the best way his message
Any message you think he
forward in the
should
best
give,
manner.
a message or a message? Okay. If not speech, a message in his
Well,
speech.
my recommendation would be the same that I gave before. Do not abandon your agenda. Find possible way, navigate through, but do not abandon your agenda. Do not, lose your contact and support of the base. So if you do that, then you will be a failure. So stick to the agenda, because that is a must requirement from your supporters because of the nature of the campaign and the situation in New York City.
Extremely grateful, Mr. Mirza. Don't underestimate yourself. You have lots of nuggets of wisdom to share with Mr. Mamdani, and I'm sure you've shared some of them. And you, between now and his inauguration, you can still fill him with lots of wisdom and good
There are
advice.
much better
People
people
like you.
than me out there. Much better.
You
I'm
are
just
very
a drop
humble.
of the oceans of the volunteers who supported him.
That's an indication of how humble you are. Humility is always good. That's why it's been such a great experience chatting with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mirza.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thanks again for watching. Please stay tuned for more such conversations. We'll be back with another guest pretty soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.